Hello everyone and welcome to Eagle's Eye. My name is Sumit Chakravarti and in this video I'll be talking about the presidential election of United States. Because the US elections are going to be happen by this year. So before starting about the presidential process, let me tell you why do you need to know this or why it is given so much importance. This is because the president of the United States, or as he is called POTUS sometime, especially by the security agencies, he or she is the elected head of the country as well as the head of the government of the most developed democracy in the world and also the most powerful nation in terms of economy as well as the military. And that is one of the biggest reason that people who lead such a country, his election is given so much importance. He is also the head of the executive branch of the US government. So if I compare to India, the elected head of the country is president, but the head of the government is prime minister. Executive is led by the Prime Minister and Commander-in-Chief is the President in India and also in the United States. So, you can understand that he is leading one of the most powerful army in the world and he is also the leader of the most developed democracy. This is the reason that so much importance is given to this particular election. Now, the US President gets a 4-year term and election have been held in every 4 years in United States. The United States election is an indirect one. I would like to tell you that most of us have a misconception that this election is a direct one. Because in India, we choose the MPs and the MPs choose the Prime Minister. While in USA, people directly elect the President. It is not so. People do not elect their President directly. Next, there are only 2 terms available to a President. So a person can become a President only for 8 years or 2 terms. You cannot stand for your election for your 3rd term. This was not the rule from the beginning and it was changed in 1951 via a constitutional amendment in the US Constitution. Before that, there was a president called Franklin Delano Roosevelt, or FDR as he is known for. He was the president for 4 continuous terms and he was the president when World War II was fought. So after this, the rule was completely changed in the year 1951 and currently the president, the 45th president of United States is Donald Trump. And the next person will be the 46th president. Now, what are the qualifications to become a president? It's very simple. You should be 35 years of age. You should be a US born citizen. That means you should be born in the land of United States. So if someone from India or some other country goes to United States at the age of 25 and become a citizen after 8 year or 10 year, so he cannot stand for the election as a president. He has to be a US born citizen and finally he should be a resident of United States for past 14 years. Now coming to the US Congress. What is this US Congress? There's often a confusion as to what is the role of this Congress. First of all, let me clarify this, that this Congress is similar to the Sansad of our India. So as our Sansad has 2 houses, the lower house and the upper house. Similarly, US Congress has a lower house called the House of Representatives, which has 435 members. There are also 6 other members, but they cannot vote. So only 435 members can vote. And there is also a Senate, which is the upper house, which has 100 members. And this is 2 members from each states. You must know that there are 50 states in the United States. So 2 members from each states, they make up the Senate. So this Congress has no direct role to play in the election of a president. So there is a misconception among the people that this House of Representatives is elected during the presidential election. No, it is not the case. Sometimes it happens that the election for the House of Representatives are joined with the US presidential election. They take place at the same time, but they are not linked together. These are 2 different things. Now, I will talk about the entire process. So what are the different stages? The first stage is primary and caucuses. So this is the first stage of a US presidential election. Then comes the national convention of both the parties. Then there is a general election, or commonly known the most popular election that takes place in the month of November, where all the normal citizens, all the common people, they vote. Then comes the electoral college and finally the inauguration. This is a rough timeline to show how long this process is. Let me start from here. So in spring, that is around March, April or May, various people, they start saying that I want to be the president of the United States, or I want to be the nominee of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party, and so. So in August, they start their primary debates. So these people, those who are competing with each other, they start debating in television debates or in public forums etc. Then in February or January, the official process of primaries and caucuses start mainly from Iowa and Nevada provinces. Then from February till June, or all these primaries, and finally in July we have the national convention. Then after the national convention in June, the general election happens in the month of November, and finally in the month of January we have the inauguration. I'll be talking about all of this one by one, but before that we need to know that what are the parties are there in the United States. So the first party is the Democratic Party, and it is considered to be liberal. It has liberal values, and few famous presidents of this party are Barack Obama, Bill Clinton, John F. Kennedy. John F. Kennedy was one of the youngest president ever in USA. He has become president at the age of 44. Barack Obama became the president at the age of 47. So you can see how young these people were. And this is the symbol of this party. It is a donkey, and usually the blue color represent the Democratic Party and the red color is used for the Republican Party. So this is also called GOP sometime, which means Grand Old Party. Remember, Abraham Lincoln was the first president of the Republican Party. So although it is called Grand Old Party, but it is younger than the Democratic Party. But still, this has been named as Grand Old Party. So Abraham Lincoln was the first president of the Republican Party, and George W. Bush, Ronald Reagan, this was the famous other Republican president of the United States. So the symbol for the Republican Party is an elephant. So a donkey and an elephant. These are the symbols. You might have seen them somewhere on television debates or banners. Now there are also some small parties which take part in this presidential election. So there is this Green Party, and Howie Hawkins is the presidential nominee of this party for 2020. In USA, any party or any individual can stand up for the US presidential election. But these two parties, Democratic Party and the Republican Party, have been the dominant party for the past 150 years. Few small parties are there. They are not very important, but I think you should know at least these three names, like one Green Party. Then there was one Tea Party, which was very important, by the way, in 2012. This was one of the part of Republican Party itself. There are a few people in the Republican Party who made this Tea Party, and it was ultra conservative. It was more conservative than the Republican Party itself. Then there is also a small party called Libertarian Party. So one more thing, this Tea Party name is derived from the Boston Tea Party, which was an incident which took place during the American Revolution, and from that they have derived the name of this Tea Party. Now I will start with the first stage of the presidential election. So before the presidential election takes place, both of the bigger parties, they decide who will be the party's nominee, who will fight the election on the behalf of the Democratic or on behalf of the Republican Party. So to decide that, there are primaries and caucuses held, and during these primaries also the support of the party members is taken. So how do these primaries work? These primaries are not direct election. At local level, everywhere in USA, every state has different formats. Some have primaries and some have caucuses. I will tell you what they are. But everywhere, delegates are elected. Whenever local elections are held, one delegate is selected, and this delegate will form a part in the national convention. And finally, in the national convention, there are thousands of delegates from each and every part of the United States, and these delegates will vote for the various nominees. Now, what is this primaries? Primary is an election in which voters or the party members elect delegates via a secret ballot. So different states have different rules. Some states allowed voters of all kind. So any common person who is eligible to give vote, he or she can go and take part in the process of this individual party. But some states have restrictions where only restricted member of the Democratic or the Republican Party can vote for the nominees. So it is just like a normal voting process where there is a box, there is a ballot paper, and people come and put their votes to elect the delegates. But remember, in primaries, as I told you, only delegates are elected, and these delegates will go to the convention, and in convention, officially, finally the candidates or the nominees is finalized. So common people or a party worker will select delegates. So these delegates are very important. And there are some people called super delegates. So super delegates have extra votes, and these super delegates are people like ex-president, ex-governor of the party. Basically, they are the very important people of the party. For example, in India, there are senior leaders like Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, Lal Krishna Advani, or Murli Manohar Joshi. They can be called the super delegates of BJP. So, if tomorrow there is an election inside the BJP, these people's vote will count more than the normal delegate. Now, coming on to caucuses. So, the ballot paper and the secret voting which was used in the primaries is not used in a caucuses. A caucuses is simply an informal open gathering or a meeting of the voters or the party members who select the delegates. It is literally like a show of hands. So, you can see in this photograph, this is a photo of an actual caucuses. So, let's say for an example, there are 1,000 people in a small town anywhere in the USA. So, in this town, there are 100 people, and out of this, let's say 800 are registered member of the Democratic Party. So now all these 800 people will assemble in a town hall, and they have the option of 3 different nominees, A, B and C. So they will come and stand, or they will raise their hand, however the method is. So let's say 500 people show their hands for A, 200 for B and 100 for C. So now here C is voted out in the first round. Now this 100 people can either go with B or A. So let's say 60 people out of who are supporting the C, they go to A, and 40 go to B. So now there are 540 for A and 440 for B. So here the delegate A will be selected for the presidential election. And mind you, these delegates openly say that I will be supporting Joe Biden or I will be supporting Bernie Sanders. So you can say that indirectly this 560 people are voting for Joe Biden to be the Democratic presidential nominee, and this 240 people wants Bernie Sanders to be the Democratic nominee. But do you understand here one thing, how the process is? So it is literally just a show of hands or people standing together. So this is caucuses. Now, what is the difference between primary and caucuses? Why are these different methods? So the reason for this is historical. This has been carrying on since past 200 years, and there are many states which have caucuses and many states have primaries, and this is decided by the state party level what the method will be for the delegate selection. Now finally, all these delegates selected from various towns, villages and cities, they go to the national conventions. But before we go to the national convention, we need to know what is Super Tuesday. So this is a Tuesday in the month of February or March, on which many states have their primaries and caucuses together. So for an example, in 2020, on the 1st March, 10 different states had their Republican primaries on the same day. Now, why this is so important? This is because if you have so many states voting together, you will get a general trend or an idea about who is going to win the party nomination. So inside the party, you will get a general idea that person A is ahead of person B, person C is lagging very far behind, and sometimes it happens that few people who are very far behind after Super Tuesday, they simply drop out the race. For an example, in 2016, Jeb Bush, who was the younger brother of George W. Bush, he dropped out the race after Super Tuesday. Now, after all the primaries and caucuses are done by June, after that National Convention is held. So, what is National Convention? It is nothing but a gathering of all those delegates selected from all over the country at one place, and usually a stadium or a big convention center is taken as a venue. There are lots and lots of performance and speeches organized at this National Convention. In 2016, there were 2,472 delegates from the Republican Party, the GOP, who came and attended the Republican Convention. And there were 4,763 Democrat delegates who came to attend this National Convention. So you can see this number, it varies from party to party. In 2020, this year, the National Convention will start from 17th August and it will be finished on 20th August. Now, usually what happened is this During this process from February to June, it is almost clear that who will going to win the nomination, because the number of delegates are already out. But sometimes there are very close race, and as I told you earlier, the super delegates have special votes. Their votes count from higher than the normal delegates. So in this convention, sometimes the final decision, the final voting is decided here in the national convention. But usually it is just an official announcement of the nominees, and all these delegates will vote and give their votes to this nominees, and the official announcement will be made by the party. Along with the president, there is one more post that has to be filled, and that is the vice president. So for vice president nominee, the selection is done during this national convention, and this vice president nominee is called running mate. This is the word used for the vice president nominee. For example, after both the national conventions in 2016, these were the candidates selected by the parties. So for the Democratic Party, Hillary Clinton was the nominee for the presidential election, and Tim Kaine was the nominee for vice president. Similarly, for Republican Party, Donald Trump was the presidential candidate and Mike Pence was the vice presidential candidate. Now, after all this, finally we have two candidates in the fray. One for the Democratic Party and one for the Republican Party. And now the actual campaigning begins. So the candidates will now go from town to town, city to city, state to state. They will hold rallies, they will hold debates, open forums, they will hold town hall meetings. And a very unique feature of the American democracy is live television debates. So on TV, you can see there are usually 2 or 3 debates between these two presidential nominees, and they will discuss various topics. And the importance of this debate is that because it is on live television, it is watched almost all over the world by millions and millions of people, and it is very important to set the tone of the election, and the importance of this cannot be underestimated. So in this photograph you can see Donald Trump. He is debating with Hillary Clinton during the 2016 US presidential election. So after 3 months of the campaigning, rallies and debates, we finally come to the day when the election takes place, and the general election where common citizens who eligible to vote, and they vote. This is usually held on Tuesday, which falls next to the first Monday of November. So this year it will be on 3rd November, and anyone who is 18 years and above can eligible to vote in USA. You must remember, in India, earlier the voting age was 21, but in 1988, via a constitutional amendment, it was reduced to 18. So the citizen now elect electors. This is very important. Please remember this. The citizen voting on 3rd of November this year will not be voting directly for the president or the presidential candidate. They vote for electors. And who are those electors? See, every party nominates who will stand as a representative, as a local representative of the presidential nominee. So these are selected from the local state. Usually they are small time party members or small politicians of the local area. So people will vote for them and not for directly for Joe Biden or for Donald Trump. So in USA, there are 538 members, and these electors who form an electoral college. So just to give an example, let's say you are in the city of Austin and there are 2 electors. You have 2 options when you will go for vote. A is for Republican Party and B is for Democratic Party. So the person A is an elector who has been nominated by the Republican Party from the Texas state unit. So you have to vote either for A or for B. So by default, you can understand that since he belongs to the Republican Party, if you are voting for A, you are directly voting to the Donald Trump. And on the other hand, if you are voting for B, you are voting for Joe Biden because he is from the Democratic Party. But right now, the vote that you give won't be for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. It will be for the candidate A or B, who are electors. You need to understand one more thing about this electoral college. This is the concept of winner takes all. Now what does this mean? Again, I will take the example. Suppose Florida has 29 electors. So 29 electors which have been selected in Florida. So let's say 15 electors who have won from Democratic Party and 14 from the Republican Party. But since these have majority Democrats, they take the entire state. That means all these 29 seats now belongs to the Democratic Party and not just 15. So you understand what is the importance of winning a majority. So if this was 15 Republican, so all these 29 would have gone to the Republican, and this is why some states are called swing states, because they can swing anyways and they can change the entire direction of the election. So this is the winner takes all. So this is a map that you can usually see after the November election is done, and in this you can see all these numbers that denotes the number of electors from the state. So for example, California has always gone to Democrats. Most of the time Democratic Party wins there. But Texas, historically it has been a very stronghold to the Republican Party. You can see red for Republican and blue for Democrats. So Texas usually will go to the Republican and California to the Democrats. But states like Florida, they have a very tough fight, because it is not that always Republican wins here or always Democrats wins. So due to this tough nature and a very mixed kind of population, these states are called swing states. So as I told you, if 15 are won by Democrats, then the entire 29 will be taken by the Democratic Party. So you can have a huge gain in big states where population is high. But the way this number are decided according to the population of the states. So you can see that California's population is very high. So 55 electors, where Alaska is the largest state of United States by area. Still, it has only 3 electors. On the other hand, New York, even the size is not that big, but 29 electors from New York. So what happened in 2012 election? If you see, the number of red states is more than the number of blue states. So what does this mean? This means that the Republican had more states than the Democratic Party. So technically the Republican Party should have won the election, but no, Democratic Party won the election. Barack Obama came back to his power for his second term, and this was because even though they had low number of states, but they had very high number of electors. So you can see California, Minnesota, Iowa, Ohio, Michigan. So all these states that were won by the blue party, that is the Democratic Party, because of high number of electors. So this is a very peculiar thing in the American election. It is not seen in many countries. So this is why American election is very unique. Now let's talk about the Electoral College. So after this, electors will be chosen. They get together in December, and now they will vote for Joe Biden, Donald Trump, or whoever the nominees are. So on 3rd November itself, the entire country, the entire world knows that who will be the next US president. And just to make it formal, all these electors meet in the state capital of their respective states, and they vote twice, once for the POTUS and second for the vice president. And you need a simple majority of 270 out of 538 to win the seat of president. And finally, after all this, voting is done in the state capital. The votes are sent to Washington DC, where the counting is done by the Congress. Now here comes the Congress. The only job of Congress is to count the vote and officially declared that this person will be the next president of the United States. And this happens in the month of January. So you can see how long this process is. The primary started in the month of Jan, then the conventions took place in July, then the debates takes place in September, October, finally the election in November, the Electoral College voting is in December, and officially the official announcement and the final inauguration is on 20th January. By the way, this date is fixed. Always on 20th January, the new president will take his oath. You can see here that Donald Trump is taking the oath of president. And after this inauguration, the process of US presidential election is over. Now, you might wonder that why this process is so long. Why not it's happened in just 6 to 7 days or 8 days? You must have seen it is actually a 7 to 8 days work. The reason is again history. As I say that history is very important. See, when the United States was founded as a country, that was in 18th century after the American Revolution. So at that time mode of transport were not available. So if you have to vote, people used to travel for 2 to 3 days just to give their vote in a ballot. So you have to travel so much for just to give a vote. Then that ballot box has to travel for 2 to 3 days, even sometime 4 days to reach the state capital. And those electors in the state capital will vote in December. And finally, it would take many days, many weeks, sometime even a month for those ballots to reach the various state capitals to Washington DC. And by that time it was January. And this is the reason that the counting was done in January and in Washington DC, and the inauguration takes place on 20th January. So the reason for all this is history. Actually this process can be complete in 7 to 8 days, but till now there has been no changes as of today, and this process is continuing from past 200 years. And with this I come to an end of this entire US presidential election process. So kindly give a feedback about this video. If you like this video, kindly subscribe my channel and do not forget to share and hit the like button. It actually motivates us. Thank you very much.